That situation of choking out a white woman in the middle of the street is already bad. It's already bad, but it could be worse.
Yeah.
Go on.
Situationally, I'm just saying, if it was you, we just said if it was me, I could probably talk my way out of it.
All right, how's your wife?
Yeah, but I'd have to talk. I'd have to well, listen, let me explain.
Yeah.
It's this whole thing. They
Sir,
want my brain.
Get your hands off the woman. What are you doing?
They want my comedy.
Man getting bit by an alligator scream.
Swallow this.
Welcome back to Reasonably Afraid. It's episode something with our special guest. It's Lonnie Marts, everybody. Yay!
Oh, hey, guys.
Yay, give it up for Lonnie. Yay!
Now I know the name of the podcast.
Yes.
We forgot to tell him the name.
Yeah,
no,
all he knew was that it was a horror movie podcast. And when I called him and I said, "Do you want to do?"
And I said, I don't watch horror movies. And he's like,
first thing you said was, he goes, "Does Chicken Run count?"
I was actually James and the Giant Peach. I was terrified of that movie whenever it came out, and then Chicken Run. Something about the stop motion and knowing they were going to die the whole time was terrifying. Like that's where my existential dread started.
Do they all die in Chicken Run?
I don't remember, but I remember the fear of feeling that they were gonna. But I'm pretty sure they don't. It was a DreamWorks movie.
Oh, that's,
yeah,
that's a
I
good
don't
point.
think they die.
Well, and then the best part though was how we wound up doing the episode today on the movie we're doing. Was he goes, "Does Chicken Run count?" And I say, "No, no, it doesn't." And then he goes, "I've never seen a horror movie," and I go, "That's not true." And he goes, "I don't know, man. Does Get Out count?" I was like, "Oh, the movie that revolutionized horror in the last
You know what's crazy? Now that you mentioned Chicken Run and Get Out in the same sentence, there's some similarities.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. We're definitely going to get into this. All right. Let me intro the episode. We'll get into this. So today we got our buddy Lonnie with us, and we're going to be talking about the film Get Out, which is, of course, the 2017 masterpiece by Jordan Peele. And man, I can't wait to this episode. This is going to be so fun. I got my co-host with me as always. We got Ray Reyes.
What up?
We got Sean Dolan.
Hello.
And we got, of course, our producer Turner working the ones and twos, as it were.
He's sleeping.
Thanks to you.
Yeah, and by that we mean he's sleeping on the couch.
Yeah. Turner. Come here.
He's like, "Fuck you."
He's like, I'm not getting up off
I'm about to
this
say,
couch.
have they met Turner yet? Because I'd love if it's just always an off-screen entity that they just never see. Like, who is this guy?
We used to do it on the couch, and he used to hop up on the couch all the time.
But I forgot that we had like audio only people that listened, and a friend of mine was like, Turner got into a fight with a coyote.
What a statement.
And we never said anything about him being a dog because it's so obvious on the. And one of my friends, she was only listening on Spotify, and she goes, "What is going on with your producer?" I said, "What are you talking about?" They go, "Your producer sounds like a complete lunatic. He's out there fighting."
Oh yeah, he is.
Why is he fighting? I was like, "He's a dog." She's like, "Oh."
That's what I'm saying. I love you guys just talk about. Oh yeah, Turner's over there, the producer. I'm like, I looked around. I'm like, oh, the dog. The dog. Good for him. That's some upward mobility in the job field. That's good.
yeah.
Revolutionary.
Dude, it would be so funny if he just started like he's like the new producer for like Bad Friends or something, taking over podcasting,
Doing the same
like,
thing.
"Am I going crazy? It's a dog."
Got in a fight with another coyote. That's Turner, bro.
So before we hop into the movie, we always like to get to know our guest, even though we already know you, because you're our friend.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming on with us.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
What?
So first Sean of the podcast.
Does he do that a lot?
Yeah.
I used to do a podcast with my friend Sam, and I punch him in the throat every time he yawns.
Can you do that, Sean? That would be the
Ray,
best
maybe
thing
we
ever.
should switch.
And the worst part was me and him. It was just me and him.
Yeah.
So I'm talking, and he's just like, I'm like, all right.
Oh yeah, it's a little disrespectful.
I mean, to be fair, Sean's brain needed oxygen in that moment.
Whoa, dude, that was like a natural caffeine.
You're right.
You're feeling a little
threat.
chipper.
The threat of violence.
Did you
is
want
natural.
coffee?
Oh,
I'm getting shaken.
he's phasing. Homie's
Thanks for
phasing.
doing that self-edit, so
Yeah.
he doesn't have to. I already dropped an F-bomb in the first 30 seconds, so
Yeah.
I like,
edit
I
that
like
out.
not cussing.
Yeah,
It's
well,
so
I
funny.
mean,
Every
I
time I ask him to bleep it, he forgets and he'll leave it in. And then if
yeah.
I don't mention it, he goes, "Oh, we better get rid of that."
Can't have that.
Well, I always make sure I cut the first 10 minutes. Like I was like,
You've got
all right.
authority issues, though.
Yeah.
Don't
Oh
tell me
yeah,
what
that's
to do.
probably yeah.
So
Part of ADHD, baby.
so we got our buddy Lonnie with us today. Lonnie,
Yeah.
would you mind telling the people what it is
Shoot.
you do?
So primarily, I have received my station, if you will call it that, my platform, some might say, through comedy skits. I do like comedy skits. I was trying to do voice acting on TikTok when it first started, and that became me just doing comedy skits because no one just wants to hear you talking. You have to act too. So I'm like, fine. And so then I blew up on TikTok through doing like these skits. God and Gabriel is what they were called. It was me doing a bad Morgan Freeman impression. And God and his angels making stuff. People really liked it. Yeah. And now I'm doing more lifestyle stuff. I'm hosting a show with E! News called Hot Goss, where I sit in a sauna shirtless, which is a far cry from the content that I started doing, where people would message me saying, "Hey, thanks for spreading the gospel about Jesus."
I mean, you're just spreading a different gospel now.
The Kim Kardashian gospel,
You're spreading the Lonnie's attractive gospel.
I guess not by my own agenda.
Shirtless in a sauna?
Yeah, I do.
You didn't tell me this part.
You could. I told him it's pinned on my page.
Yeah. Maybe if you just
thought you
watched
were-
your
yeah, I thought
friend's
you were
content.
I thought
He's
Why
never
do you-
watched a single thing I've done.
my old
That's
roommate.
not true. That's not true.
My old roommate. All of my friends actually. If their content comes up, like next.
Yeah, that's
Just
what I do.
like
too.
it. Sometimes if it seems like an important post, like hey, I really need to. I'll like mute it and leave it
let it
on,
play, yeah.
and let it loop or whatever. But I'm usually not watching.
Such a sweetie pie.
I love how it sounded that you're like, if it's an important puzzle, then I'll pretend to watch.
No, then I'll give it more watch time. It needs more watch time. Like I don't care. You probably already told me, or you'll text me about it if I need to know. So I'm not like sitting here watching the whole.
Wait,
thing.
what I really wanted to say though is that Jesus on the cross was like a really good display of the male form.
Yeah, that's
So the spa
totally
thing
inaccurate. I mean,
can be gospel in a way.
well, that's the depictions of, you know.
mean,
It's probably better they did that instead of horrifying people with the the
What?
reality of
Oh,
what that
what?
would
That
have
he's
been
not
like.
shredded?
That,
The horrifying reality that maybe Jesus Christ wasn't yoked.
No,
24/7
no,
on
I'm
the
a
clock.
believer.
The horrifying the reality
I'm
that.
That's why he
honestly,
was
we should do Passion of the Christ. It's a horrifying
I haven't
movie.
seen it. I'm
It's
scared.
kind
Oh,
of
I
a
guess
horror
we could. I
movie.
guess
Like,
we can kind of.
Isn't Satan in it?
It's got
Yeah,
Satan in it.
Satan is in it, yeah.
Like it's got brutal kills. Like it's basically a horror movie with like a Christian thematic
With a
element to it.
Yeah.
Christian twist.
It wasn't like what's it called? Some of the Giants, Raising the Giants, Standing the Giants. It was like the one Christian movie that came out and like Facing the Giants. It was this high school football team and the quarterback's dad was in a wheelchair, but because they won.
Sorry, bloody fucking walk.
Why'd you laugh at?
No reason. It just sounds like one of those country songs where like, and then she had cancer, so I shaved my head too. And you're like, oh, this is such pandering.
Yeah, at the very end, they won the game, and because they had prayed to believe to win the game, the dad stood up at the end, out of the wheelchair.
And the quarterback looked into the stands. What do you know? His father was standing, and he could stand. Do you understand? He could walk
All right.
by the grace of the Lord.
It's not even a song anymore. It's like
Hear me.
street
my words.
I like
street corner just yelling at.
All right, I'm tired.
I like.
I'd like to imagine there's like a lazy pastor who just word for word tells the movie at a sermon as if it was truth.
We open up.
Is he just doing the script of Friday Night Lights? It's not a sermon.
Like, this is familiar. No.
Is he quoting angels in the outfield?
I'm more
Doesn't say anywhere in the rule book angels can't play. They pull the air.
Ref, is that true? There's no rule that says angels can't play in the outfield.
well, you know,
I'd be
Airbud,
pissed.
Airbud was touched by an angel.
When
Was he
Yeah.
in the movies?
proof?
No, it's just some stuff I filled in.
Oh, okay.
It's his fanfic about Airbud.
I mean, if you look at the movie, the script, it would lead itself to that conclusion.
That's the only plausible conclusion.
Yeah.
Hey, let's.
It's the only way a dog would be able to play basketball.
Yeah, come on. I'm sorry, Zach.
Okay.
Don't be stupid.
So before we hop into the movie, Lonnie's all our friends that what movie? Before we talk about the film Get Out from 2017, we are going to check in with Lonnie about horror. So far, all our friends that we've had on as guests are fans of specific horror movies, but not like generally horror fans, and we've continued that tradition with you. But I also think it's a more interesting way to talk to people because like horror fans already know horror stuff.
Yeah.
So we're all just kind of like, we're going to see that stuff anyway. And I like the idea of bringing on people who are not horror fans.
No,
and then,
I
like,
hate it.
But I get to like, it's like, it's part of why he's on the podcast is like, he's funny, but he doesn't know anything about horror. So like, he's genuinely surprised about these things that like horror fans, it's so well known already that it's like not even.
I forgot what it's called in writing. It's like I forgot. It doesn't matter. But okay. Yes. Yeah. There's a the point of view of the viewer. It's like, oh, we got to bring you into the world somehow for the people who don't know. Like that's what it is. I don't know what it's called.
So your
narrator's convenience,
grounding somebody,
something like that. Yeah.
No idea.
Somewhere.
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Oh, what do I feel about horror?
So your relationship to horror is pretty much just the few movies.
I hate horror. My relationship to horror is that I hate horror movies. They stress me out. I don't understand why. I think somebody told me, well,
Go ahead.
My friend was like, so you might be like really autistic. I'm like, if one more person calls me autistic, it's a fight.
That's just people your age.
Exactly. It's just your generation. Yeah. Like, everybody's autistic in some way. They're like, no, it's this generation. Okay. But I'm like, I don't like haptic, tactile things, like touchy feely. Like if I feel something, it stresses me out. When I go to the beach and stand in the water for a while, I get really calm. That's the thing everybody does, right?
Yeah.
It happens
Yeah.
You guys hesitated.
Like autism.
No, like water's just calming too, because it like
you're like me.
It like simulates being in the womb. Like you're like surrounded by liquid. Like your body connects it to. That's what I've.
Maybe we're both undiagnosed. The point is something. The point is like I don't like stuff happening, like feeling things, like it. I am very sensitive to like feels and smells and stuff like that. And so when I watch horror and people's skin is getting like peeled off or like bones are crunching and stuff like that, it stresses me out to like no end. It's not just like fun to watch. I'm like, I get like sick. So I don't like watching it for that reason most times. Yeah. And then also I don't like being scared for no reason. Like if I'm watching with a group of people, As Above, So Below, I saw that with a group of people. I don't even know if that counts as horror. Yeah. But that one was like, oh, this was terrifying. And I went to the bathroom 6 times so I didn't have to watch, and I covered my face half the time. But what a fun experience together.
Yeah. Bonded.
Yeah. In a group setting, that's something I can handle, but by myself, I have no desire.
Yeah. Well, that's actually a part of the science where for like horror and like haunted houses and stuff is like it creates a social bond.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like that weird, almost mimicking trauma bonding, but it's safe, you know? Yeah.
Well, there is an element to this that, like, well, number one, autistic has nothing to do with like horror movies or not, because a lot of horror movie fans are like
autistic people. Yeah.
So the
way you said that was like no, like it's actually a significant majority.
Well, there is like. Well, there is like a science to it where there's like biologically that you have two type of people who like. During while we were evolving, there were two types of people. There were the people who were more risk takers, who went out and would put themselves in danger and fight bigger animals and stuff like that for greater rewards, like for more resources and stuff. And then there were the people who like kind of like sheltered themselves and bundled up. So that's why you kind of get introverts and outroverts like from that, like kind of like. That evolutionary path, which is like the ones who like kind of come from the risk takers. We kind of have more dopamine. I'm going to say we because I like horror movies. We have more dopamine in stressful situations than someone who is more biologically
unevolved like yourself.
No. It was cool because they were rewarded too because they survived and their family survived and stuff like that for hunkering.
I think it's like my ancestor. He went out and fought the mammoth.
Ancestors
he fought the mammoth. Dude. He was a risk taker, and so now I like public speaking.
Yeah. You guys were more like the bean counter people. Like you guys, found the cave and made sure the cave like smelled not too bad and stuff.
It's not a bad life.
Well, there's also just a thing of like people that like horror tend to have a little. It's like you two are like the archetype. We are perfectly split at this table.
Yeah.
You two are like the archetype of like more extroverted people that are able to like. You have like natural. Your brain's not all fucked up, is where I'm going.
Yeah.
People with fucked up brains like horror more, because you get a tension release from
That's
watching
true.
things, and then after the movie, you find out you're fine, right? But for you experience it, and then you just kind of go like, why would I subject myself to that? But
Yeah.
for us, it's like you experience the horror, and then coming out on the other side of it feels good.
Yeah, there's a feeling of empowerment too that comes from it. Where it's
Right.
like, especially for like haunted houses and stuff like that, when like you've triumphed over it, you're like, "Fuck it, I did it." You know?
No, it haunts me. my reoccurring nightmare is dying.
Do you still get that feeling with Get Out, or is this different?
How do I feel
you
about
just
it?
appreciate the movie enough to like, I'll deal with these weird feelings
Well, I think
because you like it. You
You're
like Get
asking
Out.
Lonnie.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not you. You guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is between us. Well, that's a great question, Sean. I think the way you pose that question is actually very, very interesting here on this. We should rename the podcast.
Yeah. We don't have fucked up brains.
what?
We can
Yeah.
handle this.
You don't want to know what he named the podcast when we were doing names.
Yeah, you do. It's a bunch of whores. Thoughts?
Oh. A bunch?
Yeah.
Is there, can we
well,
do
bunch up.
bunch?
I like watching you lose him instantly. That was good.
See my shoulders physically drop.
Let's get back to the topic.
So with Get Out,
Yeah.
I only watched it once.
Yeah.
And like even seeing clips of it again before we started this, I got stressed out. Just
Yeah.
all over. But like the thing that pulled me into it, I'm like, this is beautiful writing. Like
So good.
the like relationships. Sorry guys, if you heard that, me punch the microphone across the room.
And then moan slightly.
Yeah, it is a slight moan. This is all for you. The relationships were great. Obviously the representation, like seeing people like myself in these situations do things that I feel like I would do or would hope I would do was like great.
Yeah.
And then what it meant like on a larger level, like culturally for like as an American, like what is this saying? What is this doing? What does this mean? Like what is it trying to like do? And then also I think it also paved the way for future stories like that to be told.
Right.
So I'm like, for all those reasons, I loved it. I'm also a big fan of Jordan Peele,
Yeah.
So like all that, I loved it. The fact that it was horror and there was gore and like people's heads were getting bashed open stressed me the hell out so much. Even thrillers kind of get me a little bit like, ugh. But horror where you actually see it happen, I'm like, this is hard to watch again.
Well, the violence is like very condensed in that movie. Like it doesn't happen until the very end.
Yeah.
Like that's when the violence starts happening.
It kind of builds up in a pretty
yeah.
cool
It takes
way.
about almost an hour, I think.
before you see something really
Before
gory.
anything starts cracking.
Yeah.
And this is the great thing about horror too, is that there's actually it's a lot like music, like where there's a lot of different subgenres within a genre, right? So like Get Out is so different from something like Terrifier, where like Terrifier you could never finish a Terrifier. You'd get 2 minutes in, if that. Like he would stop watching Terrifier immediately because it's built around the idea of like gore and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I think I saw Cabin in the Woods, maybe.
Cabin in the
great
Woods
one.
is a good middle ground.
Yeah, we kind of
Get
waited
Out
a minute, and then all of a sudden everything started like going to hell, and people started like
Yeah.
getting ground up. And at that time, I was like so into the movie, I was like, "Oh, this is insane!" Like,
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, that
also
one is
teaches-
easier to stomach because it's more comedy horror.
Yeah,
But
There's some
and
funny
it teaches
parts.
you about horror. Like you learn about the tropes.
Yeah,
Like
like
that
a lot
was-
of tropes in that one.
Yeah, and that's part of why we covered it recently with
Yeah, I
Sean.
remember.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't say recently.
I
No,
learned
it was
a
like
lot.
one of our first episodes.
It was the fifth episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Get Out, I feel like Get Out had a lot to offer.
Yeah.
In so many different directions that, like, yes, it's a horror movie, but like people I know who don't like horror love that movie.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, for a lot of great reasons. So I mean,
Oh yeah, it's really good.
And you might recognize Bradley Whitford, the dad from this movie. Is the guy in Cabin in the Woods that works in the government lab or whatever.
Oh yeah, he
Underground.
is.
Really?
I never even thought about that.
Wait, what?
the more you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Remember the two guys that worked in the lab that were like,
That was
Yeah.
him?
pulling the levers. Yeah, he's one of the guys. Yeah.
Wait, the guy from Step Brothers.
No, that's the other guy. The two of them.
Oh,
Yeah,
Will Ferrell was in that movie.
I would love to see Will Ferrell in a horror movie.
Oh, and
great.
Get Out.
He'd
I
be
wouldn't
amazing.
trust him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what's he gonna do that I'm not gonna laugh at?
Yeah.
Like, I just seeing him on screen, I'm like,
Stranger Than Fiction. If you want to see him do drama.
Stranger Than Fiction's got funny moments though.
Yeah, but he does the drama well.
He does do the drama well. Yeah.
I want to talk about Get Out.
Okay. Let's
Yeah.
Have you seen?
Hey, Listen up.
Have you seen any of the other Jordan Peele movies or just Get Out?
I did see. I have not seen Us.
Us is real good.
Great.
I heard great things about Us. That's count number 3 that Zach Bennett has punched my microphone on this podcast. We keep a running counter.
I didn't punch it. I shook the table.
There. Okay, so we got 4.
There you go.
But and then I watched. What was the most recent one?
Nope.
Yeah, Nope. Nope was great. I thought
Nope
Nope
is
was
great.
cool.
It's probably the least scary.
It was.
say.
It was.
Yeah.
It was good thriller. It had some scary moments, but I wasn't like. I was happy and excited by the time the movie was over. Not because it was over, but just like what a great ride.
Yeah. It
It's like
was very fun.
tension without the.
Yeah, there was no gore.
Yeah.
No, there's a little bit of gore.
There's some blood and stuff like
There's
that.
some blood and stuff.
what a
Yeah,
sick
like the
scene, the
opening
raining
scene.
blood
Yeah.
scene.
Insane. Beautiful. And also mentally just like. So yeah, I like those.
So we're gonna hop in the movie now. Get Out, rated R, 104 minutes long, produced by Blumhouse, which I believe they kept making. Nope is also through Blumhouse, I'm pretty sure. So they shot this on location in Mobile, Alabama,
Mobile, Alabama, baby. I love Mobile.
which is
What a place to shoot it too.
Which is pretty wild because they did it at the last minute. They had budget constrictions where they were like, okay, well we gotta figure out what we're gonna do because like we only have this much money, and the production company was like, you guys can't shoot in LA anymore. It's going to cost too much for what you're trying to do. So they had to find other locations. And of course, the kind of irony of this is the whole thing is supposed to be like more that liberal elitist, like the Northeast kind of feel, right?
Yeah.
With, like the parents. And the whole thing is like Jordan Peele was trying to capture that vibe of like the racism that's not blatant racism.
Yeah.
Right, where like everybody's like,
no, everybody's welcome here. It's all great.
right. But then they just keep talking about race.
Yes.
Instead of just going like, oh, hey, what's up? How are you? Nice to meet you. Like they keep going, so what about being black? And he's like,
What's that like?
yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know.
I thought about it so much.
Yeah.
What that must be like for you.
Thanks for making me always think about it.
It's like, what is it like?
Yeah, it's the white liberal not realizing that just treating them different is racism.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's so it is kind of interesting that they wound up shooting in the place where it's like, oh, this would normally be the place where you actually cover
the
racism.
opposite side of
Yeah,
things.
exactly. where they're like sundown towns and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
which are all around Alabama.
Mobile, baby.
Because everything's so cool right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, they shot this in 23 days.
No way.
Yeah.
That's
Which is
fucking crazy, dude.
And he said he spent an entire day just trying to get establishing shots and then didn't use like 90% of them. He was like, lesson learned? He's in the I could hear him in the like listening to the DVD commentary and you could hear like the pain in his voice. He's like, 23 days and just spent a whole day shooting outside, nothing. He's like, we learned the lesson, we move on. Okay.
Lessons learned, baby.
Yeah.
Always learning.
Which is super impressive. He said this is Stepford Wives meets The Help, which I felt was like a really interesting
I
take
don't know what
on
that
it.
means.
So
I've never seen The Help.
What is Stepford Wives?
So Stepford
Stepford
Wives,
Wives, I know what that is.
I know what The
I don't
Help
think
is.
I've
I've seen
watched it.
I haven't seen the movie, but I have not watched either.
So in Stepford Wives,
I've seen them. I've seen like
seen
the
the
DVD.
posters.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
those posters. I've seen them in
Yeah.
in the stores.
I'm aware of the concept. Yeah.
That's better than us. I get the concept of The Help. I think I understand.
well, you're going to
who's say?
recognize the storyline behind Stepford Wives when I say it because they're taking these women and in this community that's like its own little suburb, right? And all the men have their little men's club, and these wives disappear for a little bit, and then they show back up, not acting like themselves, and they're being replaced by
When did that
robot
come out?
versions of themselves. There's a 1970s something version that's the original, and then they did a remake with Nicole Kidman recently. And,
Good for her.
Yeah, it's really good. Like, and it's
It's
I
always
think you'd
referenced.
like it.
So like,
It's like the, it's
speaking
kinda funny.
Disney movies, I get those. I know a lot of those.
I was gonna say it's like the white woman version of Get Out, like except for there's no one to come along and go Get Out. Like, it's just
They don't
happening.
say Get Out.
Yeah. There was over 200 drafts that he did of this script.
That happens. Yeah.
200. That's a lot.
But what does that mean though?
Means he wrote a version and said not good enough. and
But
then
do you
went
think,
back
like-
to-
Yeah. How
Yeah,
different
were
was
they
each
all
one?
written out, or is just like some of them
Oh,
were like
yeah.
the first couple words? And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Version, second draft. Like by the time he gets to page 4, he's like, God, I'm on draft 150 right now.
Okay.
Either way, I trust it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not disparaging Jordan in the slightest, Mr. Peel.
Get Out is named after two different things. One of them is the
common
obvious
phrase people use when they're telling you to leave.
And out.
Isn't this the sequel to? It shows like what is this? The sequel to I Think You Should Leave.
It's a TV show.
Well, the TV show came up after, so it would. I Think You Should Leave would be the.
They're like, get out, and then they calm down a little bit, and they're like, okay, I really do think you should leave.
It'd be a prequel.
Well, time to make it heavy.
Oopsies. Go ahead.
Well, the first part's kind of funny, which is he was like, it's like what black people when they're watching a horror movie.
Yeah.
Tend to,
It's like, bro, get out of there.
Get
out of there. Why are you still there? Get out.
Exactly. Which Scream 2, I think, was the first one to really cover that in like a real way.
Yeah.
To where it was like
Leave.
Yeah, and of course, Scary Movie satirized it, but unnecessarily because it's already a satire.
Don't get him started.
Yeah, we don't need to get into it, but but anyway, yeah. So that's part of it, but the other part of it is that sundown towns used to put that. They would write like "Blacks Get Out" and other cool words that we're not going to say.
Other cool words. Here are some cool words.
It's so funny when somebody doesn't get that. It's like he thinks it's cool.
Yeah.
No, cool is in like chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or cool with a K.
Yeah.
Cool with a couple of Ks. Cool with several Ks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you spelled it wrong. Wait, oh, God. Oh.
That's not how you spell
Yeah.
cool.
Wait.
Where are the O's? Where the
And
hell?
then someone goes like, hey, I think you should leave.
Keep going.
Dude, I love having him here because he's unlike we had Chad and who's our other friend that we had on? I was just looking at his face.
Danny Padilla.
Yeah. You're the first person to be like, yeah, let's maybe keep this.
No, I had a podcast for like a year, and I'm like, I understand.
I was editing the podcast.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Ray was editing the podcast. He did a
all
great
comes
job.
full circle.
Yeah,
now you're on
we're
mine.
here.
It is
Yeah,
Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah, dude.
Okay, so keep reading. Jordan Peele, massive horror fan, and he's also like a film nerd. Like he genuinely, like when you listen to him talk about like in interviews or even in the commentary, like he'll talk about movies that you wouldn't even know existed, and then he'll just be like, Steven Spielberg's first movie, and you're like, what? And you're like, okay,
The Dawn of the Red Dragon, Steven Spielberg's movie.
You were so close.
Was it really?
No.
Steven
Spielberg's
The
first.
hog of the Red Dragon.
Steven Spielberg's first movie is a movie called Duel, and that is also a reference in this movie.
Oh.
Let's hear it.
Really?
So in the opening scene, Lakeith Stanfield, fantastic actor,
Kind dude.
Oh yeah, you interviewed him, right?
Yeah, he's very chill. He is.
That's so
I don't.
cool.
His eyes are not scary, but they feel like they see behind you.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Like he looks at you and it's just like, how are you?
Piercing.
What is that?
What did you interview him for?
It was Book of Clarence.
Okay.
The movie Book of
Oh,
Clarence,
yeah.
which was a good movie. I was confused by a lot of it. It was an odd like weaving of the tale, but there were so many like aspects and elements like aesthetically that were incredible.
Yeah.
And the music was obviously amazing.
He's
So
an incredible
Yeah.
actor.
yes,
he's great.
everybody did
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
It was a great movie. I was just proud. I was confused sometimes.
So in the opening, when he's walking down the street, Jordan Peele, if you're a film nerd out there, and especially a horror film nerd, you would love this DVD commentary. You need to watch the Get Out DVD commentary. Literally every second of the commentary, he doesn't just, like when you watch DVD commentaries, they'll like talk about things that happened in the movie and those like fun moments or whatever, or, like interesting things with the actors, and he does that some. But the entire time, he describes his thought process behind every single thing in the movie.
Cool.
It's unreal. Like it feels like he could have done like 5 more of them and covered like this one's for the actors, this one's for the scenes, this one's for the filmmaking. Like, it's amazing. But he said in the beginning when Lakeith Stanfield's walking down the street and that white car starts following him, and he's on the phone, and in literally this first few minutes of the opening film, he references like 90 horror movies. I can't even go into them all because we'd be here all day doing it. But he mentions a hedge maze, which is a nod to The Shining when he's on the phone with Rail. And then he mentions that this little shiny one, and then he said the car is supposed to be almost like Jaws, like creeping up on him with this music that's coming out. And then he said that the car reminds him of, it's almost like there's not even a person in it, which feels kind of like Christine, which is the Stephen King movie about, or book that got turned into a movie about a car that's like got its
Possessed.
That's cool.
Yeah. Which is also Steven Spielberg's first movie called Duel.
Christina's Duel. Duel's Christine.
It's different, but it's got the same vibe.
That's
anyway.
cool.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And there's a little thing that I didn't even notice about this because it's dark in that scene. Whenever he goes across, he goes, "Nope, I'm getting out of here," right? And he turns around, he's just like, "I'm gonna get the fuck out of here."
Yeah.
As anybody should do. If a car slows down near you
and doesn't say anything, doesn't do anything, it's like,
that's a cool scene. It's very authentic. It feels very real. Like,
It's like good. We're on track. I believe in this movie. They're making good decisions.
And it's terrifying when he goes and he turns and the camera turns with him, and you see that door open. You're like, "Oh,
fuck!"
Whoever then there got out."
Yeah.
And then so I didn't even notice this until the commentary watched through. The dude is wearing a Knights Templar helmet, like a recreation.
Oh yeah.
Wait, like,
and remember in the end of the movie, he steals that Porsche.
yeah.
That's the same
And
Porsche.
he
in the
throws
beginning.
and
he finds the Knights Templar thing in the passenger seat, and he looks at it and goes, and he just like tosses it down.
Yeah.
That's a cool reference.
Yeah.
Jordan Peele does this thing in his movies in which like it's these little subtle things
Yeah.
that speak volumes to the like history and lore behind it. Cause like the idea is like they've been doing this for like hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, was this guy a Knights Templar? Is he just been shifting bodies as well, like with the rest of the family?
Right, like how long have they been doing
How
this?
long have they've been doing this and stuff like that? And so that I just feel like it creates this like vague history behind it all.
They get a space before to like for previous stuff if they want to, or like
Right.
you know, afterwards too.
Yeah, and then the music he's playing too is like 1920s music in his car,
Yeah.
where
Like,
it's like super creepy
who's
and
in
like
that son's body?
yeah.
If there's-
Whose Porsche was that?
The son's.
The son's.
Yeah.
Oh.
Also, just the funniest thing to make him have a lacrosse stick when he's fighting him. It just feels like the
It's like, yes.
goofiest rich white douche
It is
thing. to-
northeast. the cross was. It started in the northeast, right? Didn't it? I think so. I'm pretty sure I've heard that.
You heard it here first.
Assume it did.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks.
Someone's like, "No, it's from Texas."
I don't know.
Much better.
You're not going to convince us.
Actually,
why you're trying.
I can tell you so they're actually part of a secret society. Is the lore behind this group of people who are kidnapping black people and
Yeah, switching out their
switching
brains.
out. Yeah. So the name of it, I had it written down so I don't forget it. It's the Red Alchemist Society is the name of it. And there's actually little like things that the dad says throughout it that where they
That's fine.
they actually it's fine. where they actually like drop these little hints about this thing, like where he talks about the Jesse Owens thing, about like, oh, my grandfather tried that, and that's why the guy comes running by him at night. Remember that scary scene? He's working on his time, trying to beat Jesse Owens' time in this other body.
Yeah,
It's the grandfather that
got dusted.
that got dusted.
Got dusted by Jesse Owens. He's working on that's why it's a weird track form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which this is another amazing part about this movie that you don't get until the watch through. The how they're all weird. Like it's not just because they're brainwashed.
Yeah.
They're literally like old people in young black people, old white people in young black people's bodies, and they don't know how to. They think they're pulling it off too. That's why they keep them like working.
Away.
Yeah, because they're too fucking weird. Like we can't let them near them because they'll
Grandma
know.
thinks she's pulling it off. Grandpa thinks he's got it down. It's like you guys just stay back.
Yeah,
Stay in the backyard.
100%. That's what he said when they go to meet. Like, remember when he like walks out, he sees the I forget the character name, but he sees the guy working.
Yeah.
And he goes over to him to talk to him, and the guy's like not nervous. He's like in my mind, these grandparents are like they've been waiting for their chance to be cool.
Yeah.
I get it.
She's a real keeper. He's like, what? Real what? Real top shelf, am I right?
Yeah, he said top shelf was like. He goes, it's such an old thing
Like,
to
we don't
say.
talk about women like that anymore,
Yeah, it's like
man.
She's not a bottle of liquor, bro.
Yeah.
Relax.
bro, chill. Okay, what the fuck? What are you talking about? No.
She's a person.
Yeah. It's your granddaughter.
Do you guys just want to go through fun facts and then we'll talk about them as we go? Does that sound
Sure.
fun, or do you got anything you want to talk about before we hop in? Because I know you have some.
Yeah, I have a lot. I have
Yeah.
a lot of feelings about it. But like,
fun facts are.
I mean,
because I usually bring them up when people talk about stuff anyway.
fair.
So,
I mean,
Yeah.
I think like 6.
I didn't do anything.
That was me.
Okay.
But I feel like watching the movie, I was like, it was so refreshing. It was so stressful, and it was such a beautiful way to nuance, like it's such a beautiful and nuanced way to show like all the experiences that a black person has in America.
Yeah.
Like and with the beauty, it wasn't just like, oh, we're just telling you, just shoving it down your throat or anything like that. It was like it did it in a way that's like, oh, look, this is real. This is how it happens. Because there's so many times whenever like I was like, that's how it happens. That's what it is. You know, like the friend at the beginning of the movie, he's like, don't go. Listen, don't do that. Don't go there. Don't do that. Like, why would you do this? You don't know these people. Don't do
because
that.
that's white people's sex slaves.
You know, right? And halfway through the movie, you're like, oh, he was right.
Yeah.
You know, but there's like so many elements I feel that were like, not to be, that's a real fear. But then there's times where it's like, there's just growing up around a lot of white people in Florida. Yeah. I've gone over to some friends' house, and there were sometimes my mom's like, actually, no, you can't go over to their house anymore. Yeah. I'm like, why not, Mom? You know, for whatever reason. She's like, I just, no. But like, it was very interesting to see like some of that played out in an extreme way. And then some ways where you're like, is that the most extreme thing? Like, is that super extreme and like rare? I just have I have a couple of white friends who just have very odd family traditions, and I'm like, what is that? Like, why do you kiss your dad on the mouth? Like,
you know Tom Brady?
And it's like, I'm like, you know, if you have enough money and you have your own space and time,
kiss people wherever you want.
Make your own rules, I guess.
Kiss whoever you want, wherever you want.
It's tradition.
It's tradition. You know, and I'm like, I love that. That's exciting. I love that. Yeah, that's so fun for your culture.
Can we not include me in that? Please, thanks so much.
Yeah,
Just like me to my father and his father before him and his father.
Your culture is so exciting. But like
Zach is poor white. He's
yeah, you didn't have the money or time or resources to make up your own rules about life away
your
from
people just think you're better than us.
All right, fine. Let's see you kiss your son on the mouth.
Yeah, you're such a.
Let's see how good you do it.
Maybe your pores aren't brave enough.
You have to deal with social retribution and like people, your neighbors, like disowning you.
We're confident in our sexuality and father-son relationship
Dynamics.
that we can.
You know what a good relationship needs? Kissing.
Did you text your dad back, by the way?
No.
Okay.
So no, hold on. That's different.
Jump into some. I want to hear some of the fun facts, and they will like. I will like.
Jump in.
I will have like some moments about those as well.
Well, I was gonna say to piggyback on what you were saying. One of the things that Jordan Peele talked about was he said that party where where they invite all the people over and like unbeknownst to him, it's an auction.
Yes,
but he talks about the way that vibe happens in that party. He's like, it's a horror movie and everything, but like he's like the feeling that he's expressing. He's like every black person who's
anytime,
ever,
bro.
Yeah.
It's just like a weird thing that like just being so like traveled. I'm so well traveled, whatever. But like growing up in Florida and then like coming out to LA, and then like in LA you step into someone invites you to a party and it's like, okay, cool. It's a bunch of people who look very different, and it's like, oh, neat. I'm gonna learn about some of the people here. Yeah. And then I go back to Florida, and it's like I go to a party that a pool party someone invites me, and I'm like the only black guy there, and I'm like, I immediately have to think, I'm like, okay. What kind of vibe are we dealing with here? Like, because there's different levels of this stuff. Is it people who are gonna be like, oh, we don't see color, whatever, then say some mad out of pocket stuff. It's like, okay.
Or even feeling the need to say it in the first place.
Yeah. It's like,
if you don't, then why are you saying it?
Right? It's like I know what they might think. I know what other people might think about us, but we're cool. Trust me. And it's like, oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my exes was white, and like she was just like, yeah, you're gonna get looks at like our family gatherings. And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. They don't like brown people.
Yeah. It's like, fun. Okay, we'll deal with it. And I think growing up there, I got so like used to it until I came to a different place where it's like everybody looks different, and it's a sense of like, oh, there's not really a majority here. Everybody's like kind of gets to work together, or you form like a new group of
More
like 7.
homogenous.
I hit the mic again, so I was 7. But like, yeah, and it feels so comforting. And so whenever he had that scene where he went into the party, and then everybody's kind of like looking over their shoulders at him, like, who's this guy? Who's this other? Who's this outsider? It's a very, very real thing, and it can cause a lot of anxiety, and that's why you know that's just like one reason people like will just not. It's like, oh, who's gonna be there?
Yeah,
Right.
Nah, I'm not going. You know, type of thing. It's like maybe nobody's a bad person there, but it's like they might not have the skill or the awareness to try to make other people feel included in that, and so automatically it creates this space that's like,
Right.
Like I don't want to have to deal with that, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a very real scene that like was so felt and like so unique to see. And then to put it in this to add another level of like, yeah, your worst fear about this. Yeah, they all do hate you. And they are actually trying to kill you, you know?
Yeah.
They actually love you too much.
Yeah,
in the wrong way.
Exactly. And it's like it's such a cool layering of those things where I'm like, I love the movie because I feel like anybody can like enjoy it, but then the subtleties beneath the surface, even 3 levels deep, are like so like specific and niche and like real and felt. And also give like it'd be hard to have this conversation without having that whole movie to talk about these different little pieces and like intersections of things, you know?
Right.
So I think the fact that he even made this and is telling the story in this way, I'm like, chef's kiss. Perfect, you know?
Yeah.
Because you can't really do anything about it till you can talk about it, you know?
Right.
So-
And it gives people a way to do it where it's an entry point for people who might not be as versed in these things, and to where you can go like, hey, you're not a bad person for having these inclinations.
Yeah.
But this movie is like a subtle hint to you that like maybe you don't have to address these things in the way you did previously.
Yeah,
Right.
And also some people might have no frame of reference of what you're talking about, but we've all seen the movie. We can be like, hey, you remember that scene where this happened? He felt this way?
Yeah.
And then might be like, oh yeah, I felt this way before. And it's like, cool, now we get it and we can like work forward from this point.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is why I love media and storytelling so much when it can do that and give like people who maybe have never experienced it or never been in that space, you get to sit front row in how it is and what it feels like and get a sense for it.
Yeah, and it's also like the time and place too, because this is like you know coming right out of like the Obama administration, where it's just like there's so many white liberals that was like, well, we have a black president now, so racism is done.
We did it.
We did it. No one's racist anymore, and like it was a good like because like you know as a minority like you kind of do like. Even when you're in the spaces of like liberals and, you know, they still say the wrong shit.
Right.
Yeah. And you're like, hey, man, that's still not cool. But then like I've had arguments with friends about like I remember I had an argument with a friend that was just like who had told another Puerto Rican girl because of her ideologies. He was like, oh, you're basically white. And it was like, hey, man, you don't get to say that. Like I get
like erasing somebody's identity because of how they like identify or don't identify. It's like, well, you don't get to be part of this group because we all say this and you don't get.
Yeah. And it was just like, hey, man, you're white. You don't get to play that. But because they were a white liberal, they were like, no, but I'm on the right side.
Yeah. So you lose your identity because you didn't get the right answer.
Right, exactly. And then
you don't fit into the box.
And so this movie kind of feels like it just kind of revealed this extra layer that no one was talking about of like the racist white liberal, of like being so unracist that they're almost racist.
And this also is
unracist.
Yeah, and this is like such an interesting thing because I'm like, and I want to get into the fun facts, so we should have fun with this. Yeah, because we should have fun.
It's okay to be serious too.
Yeah. But it's like there's that other piece of like. The thing I've learned is like, okay, well, if white people can be racist and can't like black people be racist, can't like Hispanic people be whatever the case. And it's like, I think what you have to realize is that like everybody has some racial biases in them.
Right.
Everybody has a racial bias. And I think it's not like, I think it's the people who say that they don't and try to like push it away. Yeah. It's like you can't even get on track to like addressing and doing better because you're acting like it's not there. Right. And it's like everybody is probably almost certainly a little bit racist in some capacities, you know? But it's like whenever you see that, it's like, oh, I thought that about that person because they were this. That's not fair. I should check that. You know, like that's like the proper way to move through it and think about it, I feel. But whenever it's like, no, I'm not. I treat everybody the same. It's like, well, then you're an idiot.
Yeah.
And you're like going against probably evolution in some ways, you know? But it's like, hey, just recognize.
Just like the cultural zeitgeist that we all live in. Because we share it together. So, like, there are things that are inherently built in that, you know, that it might not even necessarily always be a negative thing.
Yeah.
But there are things that, like, to pretend like they don't exist is silly.
That's the thing, you know? It's like, people are like, why are we always talking about race? And it's like, I get you, I understand, but it's like, there should be a threshold of like, we have to address something in here,
Right.
and then we can move past that. But if we're not even addressing like the differences and like the shortcomings and like the histories, and it's hard to move past that whenever that is one of the most prevalent things everybody has to deal with in a day. You know,
I think it's also like a big problem with the way like most like white people in general look at it. It's like for them they think it's like an on and off switch.
Right.
Like you're either racist or you're not. Where it's like no, it's more of just like a spectrum of like. Yeah, man, you got the hateful, but then all the way at the bottom of that like prejudice spectrum is the guy who won't describe his friend as black. Yeah, it's just like you know he's like tall and like it's like
you mean the black dude?
You need a black dude,
you know. And I think the thing is, it's like I've met a lot of people like. A lot of like some again being in Florida, there's a lot like some of my favorite like people in Florida, like my white friends who like they're just so comfortable being like, yeah, there are differences. And like I have love for everybody, and I'm open to like hearing about those differences and like how people want to be addressed, and not assuming that I have it all right. Yeah, like whenever you can be comfortable enough, like I might make mistakes, but I love you and I care about you, so I'm gonna put in effort where I can. Right. That's like the most you can ask for. You know. Like that's like white people to any minorities to each other, whatever the case might be. But I'm like, I think that's the posture you got to take. Yeah. And again, movies like this kind of show like the differences of like what is cool, what's not cool, like where it leads to in like extreme cases, and like just makes you kind of check yourself. I feel.
Yeah.
And can I say something to the dumb dick white people out here? If you made it this far into the episode, get it the fuck together.
Yeah, baby.
This is not a movie. Because this is the funniest thing about being white. People,
because you have it so hard.
Let me tell you, G. Willikers, brother.
Is between me and them. Stay out of it. Listen to me, you fucks. All right. Other white people will try to they'll sit and like say stuff like they'll be like, no, racism's dead and all that type of shit. Like as if we haven't been left in rooms alone and I don't hear what you say. The same shit you say about women, the same shit you say about like and I'm not saying it's not everybody, but this movie is not an attack on white people. And if you think it is, you're just taking your inherent biases and going like, well, the liberal elite want to convince us that we're racist and we should feel bad for being white. That's not what the movie's trying to do. It's trying to get you to show a little fucking empathy and to figure out what it would be like if you were in this situation. And I know it's hard to have empathy when you don't. And I don't know how to give it to you, but this is art and it's meant to show you something. It's not meant to make you feel bad so that you just, I don't know, magically don't be white. That's not the point. So get it together. Stop being a fucking dumb.
No, that's actually the exact opposite of what the movie wants to do, because that's what they did.
Yeah.
That's a great point, Sean.
I love the 15-minute span. He's like, no, this is it. This is the one. This is the moment.
Dude, Sean doesn't say a lot, but when he does, it's a fucking bang. No pressure.
Valid.
Go. All right, let's hop into some fun facts. Chance the Rapper.
That was my Chance the Rapper.
That dude liked this movie so much. He rented out a theater in Chicago and said, you got an ID? You can go see this movie for free.
Hey.
Wild.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah,
that's pretty sick.
And that's how you know this is something that like really like moved.
Yeah. I remember when this movie came out on Twitter. I feel like I haven't heard a movie. Sorry, not on Twitter. When like
it came out,
the reaction. I was on Twitter at the time, and
like,
dude, people like I feel like I didn't have a reaction like that to a movie. Like see that sort of reaction where, dude, it just generated so much passion and like dialogue around it. It's crazy. Like since then, you said 2017. I feel like I haven't seen that.
I think
I don't know in any movie since
that one was so widespread, and again, it's this feeling of like seeing this on that level. It's like, oh, you're seeing, and also again, I feel like it wasn't a movie that was like, in a sense, like as people might say, like just for black people. Right. I feel like everybody went out and saw the movie and like, oh, I have thoughts, I have feelings, and like a movie that makes you think and talk about things is always a good story, you know? Yeah. I think Black Panther kind of did similar things, you know? People showed up for Black Panther like crazy because it was like Disney, Prince, King, Black, we're here, you know? Yeah. We made it, you know? Like it's like Obama's back in office type energy, you know? But it was, again, it's like you get seen, you get the representation, and there's a whole conversation to be had. There's a How to Train Your Dragon movie live action that's coming out, and they replaced one of the main characters with a black actress. What? And people the jump back, it's like I got him. Yeah, I got him.
That dragon is white.
So we'll get to that later. Stay tuned.
What a weird reality do these people take themselves serious?
Oh God.
Like I said, don't let me forget to mention that because I think that's an interesting thing in media as well that I'd love to hear your perspectives on. So more fun facts first.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude! I need you around more. I mostly spend my time trying to reel in these two. This has been the most they haven't talked in so long.
Oh, I feel bad.
I've been talking.
Let me out.
Yeah.
Let me off the chain, boy.
McGregor.
This is great. So Lil Rel does an incredible job in this, and I feel like he's the perfect comic for this because he's able to be funny but be serious in a way that isn't like over the top.
No, I did not feel like it. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, it wasn't like sometimes you have the characterization of like the black friend in the horror movies. Right. You know, or like they just overdo it, whatever. You see it even in Hallmark movies, you know, the sassy black best friend. You need to get yourself a man, girl, all that stupid stuff.
Get your.
But he just felt like he felt real, grounded, and like concerned, and it wasn't like this characterization of someone you don't care about.
Right.
It was like, oh, he's cool, I like him, type of energy. It wasn't just there to like do some representation and dip out. Although again, it's a largely black cast, or like the main character was a black actor. It was still like. Yeah, he's here. He's a real character. There's depth, and we like him. Yeah. You know, where a lot of times it's just like, oh, you're just here for comedic relief.
Exactly.
You know, so I liked
his character is his own thing, even though he's serving a purpose.
Yeah,
for the,
you're moving
for
the plot
story.
along, but you have your own character that people can get behind. And usually you don't. I guess there's usually an element of like likability or something or depth that like black character sidekicks, quote unquote, lack in these movies. Yeah. So it was cool to see more.
Go ahead, Sean.
No, I was gonna say this isn't even that funny. Nah, it's actually I just want to point out that like, dude, everyone in the theater. There was such a huge cheer when the airport on the car.
He walks
out. You're like, oh fuck, he's here. He was great.
Which is great because the alternate ending, you know, a typical horror movie, the alternate ending, you
super bleak. The alternate ending, he was not there, and it was a cop, and he ends up in jail.
Yeah.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. And so, like, you know, he just strangled this white woman who's now screaming for help. A cop shows up, sees a bunch of bodies, and now he's just in jail. And that was just the ending.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I was saying. Like, as we watched the ending, I was like that is the quintessential. Oh my God, bro! This reminds me. So many thoughts.
Yeah.
So growing up again, around a bunch of my white friends and stuff like that. Like we lived in a gated neighborhood. My dad played NFL football, so we lived in a nice neighborhood. A lot of white neighbors, whatever. But like when I was like, I think maybe 10, like me and all my friends in the neighborhood, we'd like go around, like run around the neighborhood, like playing hide and seek and stuff like that. And then like one day I came back from playing and told my mom, I'm like, yeah, we were playing hide and seek. We run on the golf course, all this other stuff. She's like, no, you can't do that. Like, you can't do that. You can't be out there hiding in somebody's bushes because like these people are crazy and are going to see you differently than all the white kids running around. Yeah. And I was like,
what's up?
No, I'm 10. I think they're gonna get it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, no, that's not the case, you know. And that was like the first time I had to be like, oh yeah, there's like a difference, you know?
Yeah.
And so like the way this movie ended with like, it's like this thing of like, as a black person, you have this idea or like there's this like mentality of like whenever you get paired up against a white person in the court of law, who's more likely to be seen as like a villain in this situation? Or like someone who broke the law first and foremost. And it's like, to see the end of the movie where he's sitting there over her body or whatever after she just like ruined his life, tried to kill him, tried to take everything from him, and then the cop pulls up and you're like, doesn't matter.
Yep.
You know, it's like, does not matter. We know where this is going. And so the original ending was so like, yes, you know, justice, finally.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that horror has done this thing enough where you can give the audience what they want. You don't, because some like Night of the Living Dead's one where like, the Night of the Living Dead, the original, made in 1968, was the first movie to have, or at least in the way that they did with this movie, it was the first movie to have a lead black actor. I mean, he's smacking white dudes around. He's like shaking these white women, like get the fuck, like, and he takes control of the situation.
Yeah.
And that script was written without the racial element of that. It was just written for that character, and they cast that guy. However, it's pretty obvious that to do that in 1968. Doesn't matter how much they say in interviews and all that. They were very aware.
Yeah.
Everybody tries to go like, well, he didn't really. Yeah, okay. But I'm pretty sure that like when MLK had like just been shot before they like released that film, they knew what was. I mean, it was very.
They got it.
And so when it comes to what we're talking about with that, it's I think Jordan Peele was very much like, we've had enough of that in horror, and especially given the context of this this movie and like what it's about. It's like, you know what? Maybe let him have a fucking win. Bro, I don't need to make everything. It doesn't need to be the same old horror trope where like bleak ended and now we're done.
Yeah, and he like immediately puts his hands up too. Like he was aware of like how this looks. He was like, yeah, this is how they're gonna see it.
Great, you know.
Yeah.
And I think the other funny thing about it too was like the movie outside of the plot itself, but choosing that kind of an ending for this movie. It felt like, finally a win.
Right.
You know, whether you were there or not. Like, I was like, as a black man, I wasn't there. That wasn't me. But seeing this movie, I'm like, oh, thank God. A win. Even if it wasn't for me personally, he won, thank God.
Right.
You know, like, that's all you want to see.
And then the other thing on top of that goes into, like, if you're a white person watching this movie, not only can you do the thing where you put yourself in the position of him, but you can also just put yourself in the position of being a person and knowing that that you, in general, could look like the bad guy in this situation. Yeah. Like, is it you or this woman? Because statistically, that's going to be a man doing all that, right? Yeah. But this woman was the one with the gun. You know, like I mean, this whole thing has a context to it, to where if you are open minded enough to just like stop bringing your own bullshit to a thing and go like, oh yeah, this is a wild situation for someone to be in. Anybody should be nervous. Yeah. So like, and then you can extrapolate on that and put yourself in a position of, if you were black, don't go too far though. You know, just a little empathy. You don't need to buy FUBU.
Get your FUBU pants and
That's
shirts.
For a very specific kind of white. Okay.
You had to grow up in a certain area if you're white and buying FUBU. Or if you're white grandma and you just want to support the culture now, go for it, grandma. Like, thank you for your service, I guess. You know.
That situation of choking out a white woman in the middle of the street is already bad. It's already bad, but it could be worse.
Yeah.
Go on.
Situationally, I'm just saying, if it was you, we just said if it was me, I could probably talk my way out of it.
All right,
how's your wife?
But I'd have to talk. I'd have to like, well, listen, let me explain. Yeah. It's this whole thing. They want my brain.
Get your hands off the woman. What are you doing?
They want my comedy. That's what they want.
What do you do? What?
Wait, which street was this in? Because if it's a street in Los Angeles, you're gonna be hung. Like that's they're not gonna give you that
LA,
chance.
Yeah. I don't know. If
this was like Texas, they'll be like, nah, she's probably into it. Like,
like whatever you guys are
fired
into.
Up, yeah,
you're fired up.
Why'd you stop?
They're just shooting in the air.
They're like high-fiving you.
All right, we're gonna move on.
Locking back in.
So the point of bringing up Lil Rel, he actually said that he plays a TSA agent, and he said that
what's our TSA agent?
He said TSA agents. He's like famous amongst TSA agents.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, anytime I fly to, there's like they immediately recognize him. They like take pictures with him. And
That's
like,
so
he flies
great,
all the time
dude.
too, probably.
Yeah, because he's a stand-up comic.
Yeah, he's like all over the country now.
Yeah,
because his job requires it. So yeah.
Okay,
but he's never.
I guess I didn't need to provide that statement. Yeah, go on, Sean.
Yeah.
He probably has like the frequent flyer miles too, huh?
If his job would allow it, perhaps, Sean. Yeah.
If his job would allow it.
Do you think he does Delta?
Well, Sean, it depends on who's available to fly him to his location.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're thinking where the hubs are based, Sean.
I don't know.
So he also has that scene where he's on the phone when he's like putting together the pieces, right?
Yeah.
And it's after the battery's cut out. Chris can't use his phone anymore, and he's in his apartment. He's like trying to figure everything out, and at some point he starts looking like real sweaty in the scene. Yeah. It's almost like a satire of like conspiracy theorists with the red string and everything. Mm-hmm. So it turns out he was actually like really sick. He started getting sick that morning, and they said through the shoot he got sicker and sicker. And they're like, it just so happened that he like got the final take while he was like
drenched.
It's all real.
It's like, let's keep going, keep doing it. One more.
Just added to it though.
Yeah, we did it in 3 weeks, so they're like, sorry.
There's no more time.
Yeah.
You gotta get that done.
They shot all his parts in 2 days.
Jeez.
Which is crazy. That's
wild.
Yeah. Which maybe had something to do with the getting sick.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and knock this out. Let's get
That's insane.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I'm trying to think of all the things he did, and I guess those are long days.
Yeah.
Definitely 12-hour, maybe plus.
It's crazy how important he was to the movie to have done it in 2 days too. Because if I only shot on a movie for 2 days, I'd be like, I'm barely in the fucking movie.
Bro, I did my first. It's not important. But I did my first movie this summer.
Hell yeah, dude.
It was weird because I'm like, I haven't seen it. And apparently other people have.
Yeah.
I was there for a month. I don't know. I hardly know the script. Like, I don't know how they're going to edit it. I don't know what it's going to look like. Yeah. I don't know if I'll see it. Like, I don't have to go see it. I can just, like, not ever see it. But they're going to be like, oh, yeah, you did great in that movie. I'm like, what movie? Yeah. Like, I just no actual connection to being like. I always thought it was so lame when actors didn't know anything about like the fandom or the movie series they were in. But now I'm like, I get it. You got it. You need to go work. Yeah. You did it. You worked. You got a job. You get in. You do the thing they asked you to do. You get out. And who knows?
Well, sometimes it's that, and then sometimes it's just drugs.
That too.
Sometimes it's just they don't remember because they were so coked out.
And it happens real fast.
Yeah.
We covered Jaws 3, and who was it? Randy?
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid was like, somebody interviewed him about it like 2017 or something. He did that in 1983. And they were like, what was it like doing Jaws 3? He's like, I was in a Jaws movie.
Whoa.
It's so funny. And in the movie, he's visibly coked out.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's so funny.
We gotta get these sharks.
He's doing his job, man.
Really cool thing about the theme music for this, it's actually Swahili. The words that are in the theme music. The guy who got to do the score, he told him, like, he goes, I want you to make it to where it's like black voices, but I don't want you to make it like voodoo. He's like, I want it to be like its own original thing. Is that I want it to be like a satanic black spiritual or something. Like he's like, I want it to sound like its own unique. I want, like, no one's heard this before.
Yeah.
And I never even thought about it because it fits so well with the movie.
Yeah, you're not even thinking about that there are words that are being said.
Yeah.
Do we have lyrics?
Yeah. Hang on, I got it right here.
He's like, I thought
this is the lyrics. It's so obvious when it's like if you knew Swahili, you'd be like, it's like in The Thing when they describe up top in the movie The Thing, they say, like, the guy's speaking, what is it, Swedish or something, and he says,
yeah, he's speaking Swedish.
Yeah, and he says the entire plot of the movie in the opening. So if you spoke Swedish, you learned immediately what's going on. So these are the words: brother, run, listen to the elders, listen to the truth, run away, save yourself. So, yep. There you go.
You know.
Anyway, that's fun.
That is fun. The soundtrack is so good in this movie. This movie introduced me to Redbone, and then after that, I'd listen to that song on repeat for like the next at least full year.
Like
I didn't heard that song.
Gambino?
Yeah, Gambino. Yeah, I hadn't heard that song.
It's in the
beginning. Yeah, when they show his apartment.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the first scene that song's playing and it's saying, "Stay woke, stay woke," and then he's like rubbing that cream on his face, and it's like foreshadowing because he's like turning his face white with the cream.
They're so good.
I would never even have thought of that. I would have just been like, "Oh, he's putting lotion on," and then
great, man.
Jordan Peele's like, "Oh, this is the part where I was like, oh my god, you're amazing,
so good,
yeah,
holy crap,
incredible." There's actually a class taught on Get Out
there should be
at UCLA.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What's it called?
The name of the class is Sunken Place: Racism, Survival, and Black Horror, and the Black Horror Aesthetic.
Yeah.
So if you want to take that class, go to UCLA. Get accepted to UCLA.
You don't have to. Ooh, yeah, you do.
And then, yeah. So you know,
lucky kids.
Yeah.
This
one class is probably
kids is crazy. Calling college students kids is crazy.
I forgot one. I forgot.
Real?
Yeah, you guys are old now. Welcome.
What do you mean, you guys?
Shut up.
Yeah. What do you mean, you people?
Yeah. What do you mean by that? Yeah. Oh. There were levels, and I missed the second one.
Hey, I would have voted for Obama.
That's so funny, dude.
It was crazy that I did not. It was a hand up that I did not. I'm like, yeah. Oh my god, that's too much solidarity.
That was so.
Hey, I'm right here. Come on.
Yeah, what's that next fun fact?
Oh god. Okay. So I actually forgot one other Get Out reference, and I can't believe I forgot this because it's comedy related. It's actually in an Eddie Murphy bit where he's talking about the Amityville Horror, which we covered in our first episode. Mm-hmm. He's talking about the Amityville Horror in this old bit. I think it's from 1980, so it's like the year after Amityville. And he says, he's describing black people being in that situation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, black people would never be in that situation. He's like, you walk into a house and a voice goes, "Get out." You go, It's too bad we can't stay, baby.
Yeah.
So like it's such
It's too bad we can't stay.
but like it's all right there.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing is like it's such a great little reference that like I forgot about that joke. I've heard everything Eddie Murphy's done stand up wise, but you know, it's over the course of
It's not a special.
yeah.
Which one?
Nice.
What a wonderful question.
It
It's
could be a
on
good stand-up
Delirious
special.
Raw. There's only 2, so
Yeah.
one of those. Anyway, moving on. You guys remember the Japanese gentleman in the film?
Yes.
Yes, he's at the party.
Yes. 'Cause
Yeah.
I remember watching the movie and I was like, oh. But then I also realized my thoughts on that were that like culturally there's a sense, and this is depending on where you are. So, you know, whatever, don't come for me. But you have the model minority myth where Asian people can be seen as the closest minority you can get to white people.
Yeah.
Right.
So there was like even I think there was legit like the model minority myth where like I think I don't know when it was. It might have been the early 1900s or it could have been the late 1800s. But they like whenever immigrants were coming over, they made sure they invited all like some of the best doctors and like lawyers and things like that from like Asian countries. And it's like, look at all of these great minorities we have here who do great jobs. Like black people, be more like the model minority type of energy. And it's like, okay,
guess how we got here.
yeah, it's like, okay, it's like, well, the origins
was
are
like-
a bit different, and the support systems are also a bit different.
Yeah.
You know.
That was also like solidified during World War II, where Hitler basically was like, Japanese people are honorary white people.
Yeah, well, he had
That'll
to.
do it.
He was like, I can't take Asia too. Well, and then America showed how much they really like their model minority by putting them all in internment camps in your home state.
Okay, what the hell? I didn't
We're Floridians.
call it in.
Oh, that's right.
We
California did
didn't
have
do that. Your people did
Yeah,
that.
I was on the phone with the governor every day.
Florida was dying from the West. No.
Florida was like, what are Asians?
Okay, Fawcett.
Anyway, so that gentleman, he is actually Ken Marino's father-in-law. Which Ken Marino's a comedic actor. He's in Party Down, bunch of other stuff.
Okay, the name sounds so familiar.
Yeah, you'd recognize him if you saw him, but he's in a ton of stuff. Super funny dude. But so because Jordan Peele's a comic or a comedian, he knows him through like sketch and everything, and he just needed somebody to fill that role, and they started shooting in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah,
and they couldn't find anybody in like a very limited amount of time because. As may not be too surprising to you, the Japanese population of Mobile, Alabama is pretty low.
Yeah.
Devastatingly low.
Right, but he wanted a Japanese person specifically.
Yeah,
for that.
it's in the script, and so he called up his buddy Ken Marino, and he goes, "Hey, my father-in-law is probably free. Guy's not an actor. He's a karate master.
He's just in it. Just hey, say these lines, do a good job.
Yeah.
God.
And you know what? He killed it.
Yeah, he was like, "Do you guys want me to do karate in this scene?" And
you
they're
don't
like,
have to.
"No,
They let him do it. They didn't keep it.
They didn't keep it.
They said, you know what? Let's see what you got.
How far do you want me to do the accent? They're like, "This isn't that type of movie."
Yeah, it's like,
man." They're like,
You're
"Brother."
American. Like, you don't have to. Like, I was gonna say you're American. I'm like, that doesn't qualify as not having an accent. Like,
Just be yourself.
Yeah.
just be yourself.
Yeah.
You get a little more Chicago.
Why don't you whoop these white people's asses?
Be yourself. But what if you were from more of like the South? Like, you had a little swagger to you. Can we see that? Can we see that?
Oh, Henry Cho. He's a stand-up comic who's he's Asian, but he's got a Southern accent.
Exactly. Can we get some of that?
Yeah, sure.
That.
Yeah,
Do that one.
Do your best, Henry Cho. Okay, all the scenes where Rel and Chris are on the phone and they're talking back and forth. Jordan Peele actually does all of the voices while they're talking, so none of it. And they also said that while he was directing and doing things on set, that he was doing like Obama impressions and stuff. So he's like keeping it light on set.
Yep.
And he's like
Murder horror.
and he was doing like Forrest Whitaker. Which is like such a funny, but it's funny to think that like all those scenes where you have these like intense moments. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
He's gonna hit 10.
They have these like intense moments between each other, and then like it's just Jordan Peele.
It's on the other side of the line.
Yeah.
Being a goofball.
Oh, he comes out.
You get out of there. Look, you need to get out.
Oh, another thing about Lil Rel. He actually someone forgot to send him his invite to the. Hopefully, someone forgot to send him his invite to the Academy Awards.
Yeah,
which it kind of sucks. And he was on Jimmy Kimmel getting interviewed about this movie, and he goes, yeah, they didn't send me out the award. And Jimmy Kimmel goes, oh, well, I'll take care of that. And he goes, what are you talking about? He goes, I'm a host. So he got to go to the Oscars because Jimmy Kimmel fixed it for him.
Whoa.
So that's cool.
Thanks, JK.
Good friend. This is wild, dude. Just a couple of things with the awards section of this. This is the 5th horror movie ever to be nominated for a Best Picture, right behind Jaws, The Exorcist, Silence of the Lambs, and The Sixth Sense.
Wow.
So yeah,
Whoa.
horror.
That is crazy.
The disrespect.
I know, because there's some horror movies that should have gotten like Hereditary.
Hereditary, for sure.
Yeah.
Midsommar.
I saw Midsommar for the first time. Stressed me the hell out.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. And
Stressed me out.
and especially like with it all being so like clean.
It's in the daytime.
Mm-hmm.
You can see everything.
Yeah.
There's no like hidden anything. That's something else I loved about Get Out.
Yeah.
The lighting.
The lighting is so good.
Incredible.
Look, in like personal anecdote, but having darker skin and being on camera, especially next to white people, as I've been doing more with hosting and acting, like the amount of times people on set, like from a technical perspective, don't know what to do, or like don't know how to fix it. It's like, dang, all right, so I got to learn how to do this myself now, before I look like a shadow with eyes next to like this blonde chick, know?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a silly little thing that's like, oh, that's stupid, you shouldn't have to worry about it, but it's like a real thing, and it's like the way that they lit so many of these scenes to where everybody looked gorgeous, and like, you could see what was happening. It was beautifully lit. It was still like eerie. You still had that feel of like what's going on, what's around the corner, but you could see everybody's face, you could see all the expressions, like,
dude,
flawless.
Let me double check the lighting real quick.
This whole episode is just like crazy. He's like,
who the hell is talking right now?
Ray's like, give me 1 second.
Is this the pattern from The Shining, by the way?
No, it looks like it though.
Okay,
I haven't seen The Shining.
You should. It's great.
I'm scared.
Okay. No, I was gonna say, you know what's great about what you just said though?
What?
It's like an analogy. It might feel like a reach, but I think I'm correct in this. It really is like an analogy for like oh, you figured out a way to light everybody and it made it better.
Yeah.
It's like an analogy for like equality and like equitable. Like if you figure out a way to make things work for everybody, the shit works out even better.
You improve. Things tend to improve.
And if you just lit it for just white people, that movie wouldn't have been as good.
No.
Damn it. Somebody give me a fucking award.
Hey, let this man preach. Let this man preach. He just found out that equity and equality makes things better.
You hear that?
Okay. Oh my god.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. This is also the 4th Black Writer nomination. And when everybody's like, oh, they're just being like woke about all these award shows and stuff. You know how long the Academy has been around? For like 100 years, or maybe a little more actually. And there's been 4 Black writers nominated for Best Screenplay.
That's insane.
Who makes up the Academy?
Everyone who's
Old
won an
white
award.
people.
So mostly them.
If I was in the Academy, I would have voted for Jordan Peele a second time if I could.
I see why you have him, and I like that.
Yeah, he comes in.
And I like that. I appreciate you. Yeah, you get just a boom.
You should have done the grab that Lakeith does.
Oh, is that, yeah. I forgot about what
he goes
do?
to, he goes
He
to
like
fist
goes to
bump him
pound it, yeah.
And he
Was he? Yeah.
yeah, he goes like that.
He literally clawed it? I don't remember
Yeah, he
that.
clawed it. He was
The
just
guy,
like,
the white, wasn't in the movie. He's like,
Yeah.
He's like, okay. Oh, it was when he was like washed or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wearing the sun hat and the.
Yeah, the only other the 3 other people in all of film history to be nominated were Spike Lee for Do the Right Thing, John Singleton for Boys in the Hood, and Suzanne Day. I can't read the last name because I wrote it shitty. But anyway, Lady Singing the Blues, 1972. So it's not only is it only 3, but it's been since 1991.
Jesus.
Whoa. And those only happened like within like a time frame. So that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
a little more fucking disrespect. This reminds me of when they gave Jethro Tull Metallica, or they gave Jethro Tull Best Metal Album the first year that they had metal as a category. Turner, what are you doing?
That's
You're
our
live together.
producer.
Turner, come here.
They're doing a lawn stuff.
Our producer's just making some call-outs.
Well, so they gave Metallica got snubbed at the Grammys, and they gave Jethro Tull Best Metal Album because they like literally didn't know what metal was.
Yeah.
And at least they had an excuse for that. This movie is clearly a horror movie.
Yeah.
At best, you might go, "Oh, it's a suspense." And you go, "Well, it's suspense horror."
Yeah.
The Golden Globes, there was actually a controversy about this. The Golden Globes tried to put this in Best Comedy.
Whoa.
I remember that.
You remember that?
What?
Best Comedy and or
that
musical.
was on Twitter a lot.
Musical.
Yeah.
Musical?
And or because they put comedy and musical
Okay.
together. It was, like,
Comedy?
similar. Yeah.
They said how silly. Thinking someone could feel this way. You think that could really happen? Ha ha ha.
They're like
Nice try.
racism doesn't exist.
Yeah, they
Jordan
said-
Peele. What are you writing about?
You're hilarious.
That's wild.
And
that is crazy.
You know,
Dude, that's so
that makes slightly more sense actually.
Yeah.
That they were like, oh, you're that funny guy.
yeah.
You're that funny guy. So of
Yeah.
course you wrote a funny movie.
I love the idea that they got in all this trouble just because they just didn't watch the movie.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's Jordan Peele. Yeah.
They're like, no, but we're
hilarious.
actually not. We're not racist. We're lazy.
Yeah.
Like
And one guy's like, actually, I'm both. Is that
he's
okay?
like, someone's like,
He's like, well, let's wait till you find out why we didn't watch it.
I love his answer though. He had the most like chill, like cool answer to this, which I feel like was such a like almost like a jab on them. Which was he somebody, you know, obviously Twitter was blowing up about it, and his only response in the tweet was, "It's a documentary." I was like,
I think I retweeted that.
"Oh,
Nice.
and you do it a third time. Good for you."
I retweeted it and did it again.
documentary is crazy.
Now this
No,
one, this one is super cool. These next two, I'm gonna save this really cool one for last. But this is the year, the fiscal year of horror made as a genre made over $1 billion for the first time ever in history. Because within a year, It, Split, Jigsaw, Annabelle Creation, It Comes at Night, Happy Death Day, and Get Out all came out in the same year. And
That's a huge lineup.
yeah, and obviously, It, Split, Jigsaw, and this movie were probably the
It's
split. It's Jigsaw.
Got you.
Yeah.
Those. So I'm like,
Wait,
5
who
movies.
split Jigsaw?
Yeah,
Jigsaw?
it is It, and then it
Yeah.
split,
Yeah.
and then Jigsaw. and
Yeah.
then- okay.
Yeah, you got
I'm
it.
like, I don't know what It Split Jigsaw was,
Yeah.
but I'm like,
What?
good for Jigsaw.
Wait, get out. It's split Jigsaw?
He warms my heart. Like, he's just a reliable like commentator. Like, I just-
Yeah.
So he did win an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. This is also the most money an original screenplay has ever made
what?
in one movie.
Whoa.
Not an adaptation,
just a
but
screenplay.
a writer-director screenplay.
I sat down and thought about a thing, put it on paper, said, "Hey, film this."
Yeah, and
Holy shit.
then beat out everybody. But most importantly, in my mind, it's the first African American nomination for writer, producer, director, all in the same year. It's never happened before. And Jordan Peele gets to be the dude.
Wait,
That
okay, this is
pretty
going to sound dumb. I thought, is Avatar not, isn't that like the number one?
I don't think he was the writer director on that. James Cameron.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Also, it's a ripoff of Fern Gully and Dances with Wolves combined. So
No, I'm not saying it's very original.
Wow.
I'm not saying it's very original. Not to like.
I've always called it Space Pocahontas.
Pocahontas.
Yeah, Space
yeah, that's
Pocahontas.
good. Yeah.
I didn't like
good
that.
one.
Oh,
What? You say you didn't like
it's
it?
patronizing. No, it was too long.
Patrick, yeah. Well, it's also it's that same exact thing of like I know they're all blue in the thing, but like it's still a white guy that like comes into the last minute. He's like, "Don't worry, I'm
White
here."
savior.
Yeah,
White savior.
yeah.
Literally, a white guy gets in a blue suit.
Don't worry, I'm gonna pretend to be one of you.
Don't worry, I put on blue face.
Yeah. I'm like, guys, is that Blueface? Like, shaking like
I'm an honorary minority now.
I'm just like you.
An honorary minority.
Like, I mean,
another Marine shows up and he's like, get out. He's been blue for 20 years.
it's all a trap.
A couple of last things, and then we'll do the wrap up where you guess at the box office and the budget and Rotten Tomato scores. So the Sunken Place was basically the concept of what he had was he said, you know that feeling when you're starting to fall asleep and you like wake up and you like feel like you're falling. Yeah. He said, I imagine the Sunken Place as being the thing like where you just keep falling, no one wakes you up. It's like, what does that feel like? And then it just,
ooh, that's terrible.
Yeah, that is terrifying.
With no back to your chair.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And no floor either. It just keeps going.
That's
such
actually
a
really
cool
that's a scary
What
thought.
the heck? That's a cool way
Right?
to articulate it.
Isn't that cool? Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, hey, this is you're not a film buff, and I think you would enjoy this.
The commentary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's so rich, like
Guys,
just
good.
every moment. Because every moment's covered. Like it's
That's
not.
crazy.
It's really cool. You remember when he goes upstairs and all the white people at the party downstairs
I was
all.
going to bring that up earlier. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's very
As a black person, you also always wonder what happens when you leave the room.
Well, when you were
Like
talking about that
Schrodinger's
earlier, I was
party.
like, I feel like that specific sequence was probably like the best representation. That where like it feels it's like maybe exaggerated because they all immediately go like stop.
Yeah, and then look up or whatever.
But
Yeah.
like it's like it represents it so well, that feeling. But what's the fun fact? Let me throw you up.
Oh, thank you. It is very reminiscent of like moments in Stepford Wives because it's a heavy influence on this. But he said that for his main focus on this was a dream that he had about being in a bank, and that like he went to leave and everybody's like talking and everything, and then when he went to walk back in, like they all stopped and looked at him like as if like him leaving stopped them all, and then him coming back in, they were all like, "Oh, we're supposed to be doing a thing again."
Yeah, it's like, we're starting back up?
Yeah. It was so he said it was just so eerie. He's like, I wanted to put it in a movie.
So eerie, so uncomfortable. That was that moment I was like, "Oop!" You know, he just was like, "Hot! Hey, what was that? What the heck was that?" But no one, everybody was like listening in. But I mean, legit, that's another real thing where like you leave. It's like I wonder,
like
what do people say when I'm not here? Like what's
like
going
am I
on?
a focal point of
Am I like? And it's like you'd like to believe you're not, you know, because it's like who am I? You know, whatever.
Yeah.
But then it's like there's this weird back of your mind thing where I'm like, I feel like I am enough to be like. You know, when I'm not here, people act differently. When I am here, people act differently.
Right, exactly.
You know,
Yeah. So why wouldn't they continue?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, but how different? What's the difference?
Yeah.
But it was a very reminiscent of that scene. You feel it sometimes, oftentimes.
Before we jump into the last thing I wanted to cover, that scene where she goes, no.
As she cries.
Dude. Oh my God. Like that might be one of the best scenes from any movie ever. Like I mean, just like. She deserves an Academy Award.
Oh my God,
that was incredible. Like,
I'm like, this is not two people. This is one person.
Yeah,
she is killing it.
And you know, there's just like that grandma is the one controlling everything, but there's this black woman inside just crying, trying to like get out. Oh man, it's like, it's like
how do you do that so good?
Yeah,
as one person, mind you.
Yeah, this is one of those movies where like when you watch it, you forget. Because you're just so inundated with like what's happening.
Yeah, the story.
God damn it.
10. Is it 9 or 10?
There it is. There it is.
You're just,
is that 10 or 9?
That's 10.
That's 10.
You're just, we did it.
All right, now you
we
gotta
did
leave.
it.
Get out.
Kill this guy.
I just hand Lonnie
Kill this guy. Yeah, I was like, I'll wear his hat, his little shirt.
But I was saying, I think people can take for granted just how well they really immerse you into that storyline to where you don't even really realize what an amazing skill that is to be.
To think about what's really happening.
Yeah.
Like outside of that movie, what is this woman doing?
Yeah.
She's killing it.
Oh, you know what's funny too? The character of Rose, when she flips, and she becomes like her sociopathic self that the daughter is. They actually had a name for that version of the character on set. They called her Roro. Because she would get like so into character that she would be. They were like, it was scary. You wouldn't like nobody would even talk to her before she'd go on. She was like method. She would like stay in that like sociopath character.
People
That's
don't
great.
Like method actors.
Like it's so weird because she's like such a fun, loving, cool person. Normally, it's like a cold,
killer,
mean person.
Psychopath. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I think one thing I love about it too is that like this movie, I feel like there can be like this attitude of like, oh. If like there's like culturally there can be this attitude of like, all right, if a black person's gonna make something, how good is it gonna be? Like personally, in a sense of like art wise, sure, it might have like the soul, but it doesn't have the excellence that we see from like maybe white counterparts or something like that. And to look at this movie at all the depths and layers of the actors that they brought on, the writers that they brought on, not everybody on set or on the cast or in the crew was white or was black, but like to see it led by like so many great black creatives and do such a great and excellent job of like the marketing, the writing, the acting, the directing, and all these different elements done so well. I think on that level, it was like another testament to like beautiful art, like by black creatives that other people like myself can sit and look at and be like, yo, that's the new standard now. Right. You know, which is like, again, super important for somebody on the outside might be like, it's another movie. It was cool.
Well, but even to the point of what you're saying, which is that like it not only is it that, but it's gone above and beyond to the point where even just in the film genre, everybody's been chasing that. Yeah. Like you had Hereditary basically come the year after. And you know it had to be in the back of his mind, like it's got to be
as good. Different. It's got to be as good.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like because that guy's meticulous in the same way, and you could tell like there's like even like the vibe of like these movies that have come out in the past like 5 years.
You can't just do the same old thing, right? Like, and again, the floodgates have been open, and you've seen something different. And I thought about this as I was saying it too, but I'm like, a lot of times, like I said, whenever I have conversations with my white friends, like some of them like I don't really get it, and I'm like, if you don't get like what it feels like or what it means, it's like, if somebody in your family does something, like if your family has a certain like name attributed or like certain people believe this about your family, or like you have an older sibling who went through school and they got in trouble all the time, or they did something, or they weren't the easiest with teachers, or teachers just didn't like them for whatever reason. Yeah. Whenever you have that same sibling or a different sibling or somebody else in your family like bust the doors open and be like, oh yeah, you can go further, you can go to college, like you can do more. That's like what it feels like, you know? It's like, oh, you can achieve more because somebody in your family has done it. Like that's that kind of group dynamic of like being a black creative and seeing like a black director and a black cast and crew do so well comparatively to what maybe we've seen in the past. And it's like, and that's not to say that things we've seen in the past haven't been good, but to see it move at this level, inspired by what has been done in the past, you know, is so cool. It means like so much to see. So that's why, again, it's like one of my favorite films in general.
Yeah. And also like for the longest time, black horror was just almost its own separate genre.
Yeah.
For like a long time.
Well, I was going to bring that up about film in general, where it was like, they like, luckily he had a name attached and they were willing to take a risk on him. But before this, it was like, if they would only do it if they knew there was a built-in audience, and so a lot of times they would go like, especially like mid 2000s was big on this, like with Tyler Perry and stuff, where like they would go like, and a lot of other movies that you know a lot of white people might not know about, but like where they go, if this has a specific demographic, then we can sell that because at least we know those DVD sales
the demographic, we know the demographic that will be buying this, and this meant for you, and you will buy it because this is a film meant for you. It's written for you. It's written with you in mind. All your like the complexities, your environment, all these things are suited for you, not for this group over here.
But it also means that the money that they give them is going to be attached to that. So they're not going to give them Jordan Peele money. They're going to give, and then people, what happens? People look at it and they go like, oh, that's a subpar or a sub-quality.
Yeah, it's like, because you gave him film.
Yeah, because you gave him $200,000. And told him to try and make it, and told them they don't have any top billing money. It's like, okay, well, yeah, what did you think was going to happen? You're going to make you're going to make the Black Lifetime movie.
Yeah, because that's all you can afford to do. Yeah. And it's like, well, maybe, and it's like, well, you got to look at it from one standpoint. There's just so many pieces to it.
Another great example that spills over into other stuff.
Yep.
All right, let's do the last couple things and we'll hop in. This one, it kind of all ties together. The video where it explains what's going on with the coagula,
what's about to happen and everything.
Yeah, the operation.
The operation.
He said originally he was just gonna have to do that. This is the funniest thing, especially anybody with like white dads. This is really funny because every middle-aged dude, James Taylor's "You Got a Friend" was just supposed to be playing on a loop. And that's all that was going to be on the TV. Like it was like brainwashing because it's the most vanilla, nothing white people music. Of just like
James, the whole what is this? One song, and I'm not. I know James Taylor exists.
Yeah, just one song.
His Christmas album, I think.
Yeah,
you got a friend of me.
That would have been even funny. It's just Randy Newman.
Yeah. Randy Newman.
That actually kind of fits. You got a friend in me.
Yeah. Well, that song is just a rip off of James Taylor.
Well, yeah,
it's the funny version of the James Taylor.
Well, just the idea of like there's someone inside of him.
Yeah.
Or
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
very good. Yeah.
God damn it.
Oh, I thought you were unnecessarily explaining the joke. I thought we all got it, but he didn't. So that's
Yeah.
I'm gonna lay out.
No,
I'm
he
gonna lay
didn't.
out.
He
You're
didn't.
chilling. Hey,
I get after his like that last sentence, I was like, oh, he's not getting it.
I just thought it would be funny to have that voice there in that moment. He's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
terrified, and then all of a sudden he's like, "You gotta feed me." Okay, but yes, that's a. We're moving on. Eat shit.
As you should.
But he said that they couldn't afford the rights to the song with the budget, so they just did that video instead, which works so much better, and he admits to that, obviously. But he just also said he's like, I like the idea of like that, how like they explain the Matrix at one point, like the second one I think was the one, and he's like, it's almost better to have that, and
So
this
you
thing
get
that,
to
like,
see the whole.
really like solidifies thing. Don't worry, this won't pick that up. That I'm gonna murder that dog one day.
I'm
Not
surprised
this one,
like
this one's good.
Turner's not like losing.
Yeah,
it or
He
anything.
only fucks with the big ones.
If you didn't see or hear it, it sounded like
Yeah.
there was a little girl screaming outside the window. It was a dog in the alleyway. I guess.
This is
Terrifying.
the last thing though. When his thing he would do when his like nervous tick for when she was like brainwashing him with
Yeah,
the,
like
he had the little thing where he's like scratching the
yeah.
Yeah.
armchair. He did it so much that it started to expose the cotton,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when he realizes that he can use it to stuff his ears, and that's how he doesn't get brainwashed.
Yeah.
The last time they tried to do it.
Yeah.
And then I thought about this, but I thought maybe I was reaching. But Jordan Peele solidifies it in the commentary. He goes, "I thought it was just great to have this moment where this black man is like escaping his slavery through using cotton. It was like flipping it on its head, and then like
Holy
I thought it was
shit.
actually, like
Whenever I saw it happen, I was like, it was a quick flash in the pan of like,
Yeah.
but I'm like, nah, it's probably just. But then I'm like,
Yeah.
nothing in this movie feels accidental.
No,
nothing
not
in
at
this
all.
movie feels
Incredible.
like by
Yeah.
chance, and I think that's just brilliant. Like God, I want to watch it again, but I'm scared. Like
at
I
least you
literally,
know now.
I get so stressed.
yeah.
The second
blood
watch
and
is
everything.
like it's so much deeper.
Yeah, because
it's
every
like
little
you're already-
thing makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
And you're already aware of where the plot is going.
still, and you're just
yeah.
like,
But you catch
Racing.
little things like the looks on people around him, even like slightly out of focus stuff. Like
yep,
it
people, the way
all
they're
s-
turned, or the way they're not
Especially
turned.
the girlfriend, you're like everything she
Yeah.
does and says. You're like, whoa.
Oh yeah, this is a great thing to bring up. The car
Oh,
when they
yeah.
hit the deer,
Yeah.
and when they're driving out,
Yeah.
and she and they call the cops to
Yeah.
come and like report it, and the cop goes, "Let me see your ID." You think that she's like doing this like good white person thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Like I'm gonna stand up
No,
for
you
my
shouldn't do
black
this.
boyfriend. It's so that they don't. God damn it!
11.
Now it's just too much. Dude. It's like, yeah, you're in the bonus. Dude.
11 mic bumps.
It's so that the cop doesn't see his license because he's gonna go missing, and they're gonna like know his name. So like she's not being a good person. She's trying to make sure that no one knows that he's out
Oh
there.
my God.
Dude, fucking boom. Okay, let's wrap it up, boys. Let's do the.
I actually didn't even think about that.
No,
either.
Isn't that
Yeah.
crazy?
I
That's
think if
wild.
I watch it again, I'm watching the commentary because I don't want to just see it. I'll get stressed. But if I watch
Yeah.
the commentary, I'm learning.
You'll have his voice comfort.
Yeah,
you.
Yeah.
Sometimes he just goes quiet, or he's just like, boom. He's like, oh, what the fuck?
He does like joke around during it too. You're like, dude, how do you describe your masterpiece to everyone and then also be silly and fun? Like it's such
He's
a
a
huge fan of
comedian.
his.
He's a writer. He's an artist.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jordan.
Also, he
Mr. Peel.
Yeah, Mr. Peel. He wrote a new or helped write a new Twilight Zone. Like he's such a huge horror fan, and like he's an incredible guy. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up with budget box office and Rotten Tomatoes. We're gonna start as usual budget box office, but we have a guest of honor, so he gets to go first in all matters. So
Sean is very competitive about
yeah,
budget
Sean
box
gets pretty
office.
carried away with this.
Yeah.
So we have to guess the budget and then what it did in the box office.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see.
Can we have
Lonnie-
can I have a range? Or what's the top and bottom?
No.
What's the worst? What's the best opening movie?
Of all time.
Yeah.
Nope. You got to go in blind.
Infinity War.
Yeah.
That's not an answer. How much do you think it
2.6
costs? How much do you think it
billion.
costs to make this movie, Lonnie?
I don't know box office numbers, so this is kind of unfair. Like, I don't even have. An
How much
answer.
do you think?
Maybe
well,
you shouldn't go first then.
Yeah, I don't have an.
Okay,
answer.
you know,
Yeah,
you
let
can
me-
pick. Who has to go? Who has to go first?
Yeah.
Zach gets to go first.
I know the thing.
Yeah.
You know, man. Wait, that's a good idea. Yeah. And I'll go immediately after.
All right, fine. Sean can go.
All right, Sean, go ahead.
I thought you'd never ask. I'm gonna go budget. You just said earlier he let a slip of the tongue. He said they gave him Jordan Peele money, so I assume it's more than a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go 18 million.
Okay.
And it made a lot. I mean it was big. I'm gonna go 120 million.
Okay. Ray.
I'm gonna go 23 million on budget.
Okay.
And then box office, I'm gonna say 95 million.
Okay. And Lonnie.
The audible gulp from Sean. Budget. I want to say 20 million for the budget.
Okay.
He had a track record of producing some great stuff, but I think this was his first feature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a 20 million budget is a lot, I think.
Mm-hmm.
For a new idea, and I would imagine it might be a lot for horror too.
Correct.
You would be right. Yeah.
But
he's a natural.
So I have a business degree, and I'm trying to get into the industry, so I got to know this stuff. I'm gonna say box office. It did. I'm not gonna put down a number for budget yet, but box office, I think it did about 150 million.
Okay.
And then the budget, I think the budget might have been 10 million.
You want 10 million?
Yeah. Sorry. I think it's 20, but I feel 10 is a
Dude.
decent answer.
I'm glad you changed it because you started around 20 million and you changed it last minute. This is incredible. The budget is $4.5 million.
I thought maybe it was
What
5.
the hell?
Shit,
I thought it
dude.
might be 5.
When
I
you
let
said
them anchor
Jordan,
me.
He threw me
Well,
off.
that-
all right?
no,
That's
no,
after.
yeah.
This is his first one.
Yeah, you're right.
Well,
You're
now
right.
that I
but I
think
was
about
also-
it, they only shot for 23 days.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
And
then
it wasn't
was
like they had
a slim
they had
budget.
a few locations,
Yeah.
and they didn't have that many. Well, they did have.
There's no CGI. There's probably like a little bit. There's a little bit of CGI.
Minimal, yeah.
There's probably like the as far as like gore goes, it's not super gory.
There's not
Yeah,
a lot
not
of
crazy
special
effects.
effects.
Not a lot of special effects.
There's a sunken place that happens, but a lot of it's just like great camera work,
Yeah.
lighting, and actors,
Yeah.
and music.
Yeah.
5 million. I thought maybe 5, but I'm like, that seems maybe. I'm glad it.
I almost
okay,
thought,
sometimes.
I felt like it was too low. Like I was
But this
almost
was
being
his first
disrespectfully
feature.
low.
Right.
Yeah, that's true
Yeah, it
too.
feels
Yeah.
disrespectful.
I mean, but he busted out with it. All right, what do you do at the box office?
And if we pay attention to like much how we talk about the 90s, when we covered stuff in the 90s with a little resurgence there, it's always 15 million, right?
Yeah.
And 4.5 to 5 is right around where all these newer ones are at. I think
Budget?
almost everything has been 4.5 to 5.
the
Everything
budget?
yeah.
Gotcha.
Midsommar, Mandy, all that stuff is all like around the same. Dude, this this is incredible. I never knew it was this much. $256
What the
million.
Holy shit, dude!
Holy shit. Yeah, that's like the most. I feel
That
like
was more
we've
than
had.
a Ouija.
Yeah.
It's more than double for
Yeah.
Luigi. Yeah.
Oh my God. Damn.
200. Anyway, so that makes Lonnie the overall winner.
Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you won 150, which we
Wait,
were
what did
all
you say?
not close.
He
I
said
said 120.
Oh, what'd you say?
95 mil.
Oh,
I was basing it on how much Hereditary had done because I was like,
Right.
I was when we were referencing and I was like, okay,
Hereditary was cool,
Hereditary's
but it
like-
wasn't as culturally like it was.
It
In
was
the
a
horror
culture,
world,
yeah.
yes, but like
Yeah.
Get Out like rippled like people who did not people like me who, don't
didn't
watch
watch,
horror.
yeah.
I tuned into that.
I knew it was gonna be big, but I guess I
Should've thought
lost
about that.
scope when we talked about horror so much about like how much movies can make.
Yeah.
Because like everyone like it was like a huge cultural moment.
Everyone
I
went
feel
to
like
go
everyone
see
was
it.
talking
Yeah.
about
Dang, that's cool. Huh.
And
5 million budget. Look at that.
Jesus.
That's unreal.
$5 million
That's so
to
much money.
200 million. That's crazy.
What's the math on that? Quickly.
That's for you, bud. That's not for
you
us.
just said
Yeah.
you had
How many
three.
times? I'm not a math guy.
Yep.
Okay, so is that two? If we do,
It's a
250 million divided by 5.
It's like
I mean, it's-
500%.
I refuse to play
Yeah.
this game.
250
5,000
divided by 5.
The budget is like
50 times.
2.50 times. Jesus
That's
Christ.
unbelievable.
50 times the
Remember, we
budget.
were like impressed
That's crazy.
by when we did
Right?
The Purge.
Yeah, because
Oh yeah, because the Purge. How much did the Purge make? It was like
$100 million, I think.
It was like $100 million. Yeah.
Like some. Remember, we were like, the Purge is crazy. Like they took $3 million to make like $100
The Purge
million.
also had like a cultural significance for sure, and I feel like it's referenced a lot, but like not in the scope as this.
Purge Anarchy is Lakeith Stanfield's first like big film role.
Oh yeah.
You know something else that I think will be interesting. Speaking of race wars,
Go ahead.
no. Yeah, I'm interested. The movie Wicked coming out. Sorry, this isn't a plug for Wicked, but I'm like, it covers similar themes.
Yeah.
And they have a black lead.
Yep.
And I'm interested to see what it does. There's a lot of different things, so it's not like, oh, this is a black movie, but it focuses on heavy themes of like other. And I don't think that she's often been cast as a black woman. So it like double. It's like, oh yeah, it's a movie about others, but it's usually like a white woman and a white woman. And now it's like, oh, a movie about others and a black woman as a lead, and then a white woman. You know. So I'm very interested to see how it does, and I think it'll have some similar cultural resonance. Yeah. Like across the industry. So I mean, not we'll have much to compare it to because it's such a unique movie and such a unique like plot and everything. But usually, if a movie can tap into like a cultural moment of like, oh, being seen, uplifting, or like healing, it tends to do like, and that's not just for like black people, that's like across the board, Yeah. It tends to do, I feel like it tends to do better. Yeah. So, or have a little bit more staying power at least. So yeah, thanks for coming on my podcast. It's great to have you guys here today.
Yeah.
All right, last thing. We're doing budget. Or sorry, we already did that. We're doing Rotten Tomatoes. So we do the critic score and the audience score by percentage.
Audience score was 100%. The critic score was 89.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean they're probably fucking high, right? Like 96 audience, and all the price is right. 88 critic.
Price is right. Yeah.
I'm gonna go 98 audience and critics. I'm gonna go 100%.
I don't feel like I remember seeing audience Rotten Tomatoes 100% anywhere for this, but
it originally started there, but as the reviews come in, it fluctuates.
Yeah.
This one, this is one where the critics started getting things right later in horror. Yeah. Back in the day, if it was a horror movie, almost every time, depending on what it was, but almost every time the critics would pan it, and the audience score would be really high. Yeah. Nowadays, the critic score is really high, but everybody's starting to go see horror, which means non-horror fans are seeing stuff.
And they have thoughts about it.
Yeah, a lot of dum-dums are showing up to stuff.
Fair.
So the critic score is 98%. Woo! Which I believe would put Ray.
Yeah, because I said 100.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the audience score is only 86%, which is great on Rotten Tomatoes. But but for how we all feel about this movie, and especially horror fans, 86 is a fucking insult. Get it together. It's 100%.
Well, that's the whole thing about like people walking into horror movies and not realizing that it's a horror movie.
Right. So Sean actually gets to take that one.
If I had a Rotten Tomatoes account, I would have voted for this movie twice.
And that's a three-peat, folks. He did it. He did the three-peat. Nice.
Let's go home. We did it. Back to you, Clyde.
Lonnie, do you want to plug anything before we head out?
Do you want to plug anything?
Yeah.
If you want to see me shirtless, I got a show on E! News called Hot Goss, where we talk about celebrity gossip. Yeah. We talk about hot celebrity gossip. Yeah. You might not be the audience for it, but you might be. So if you care to check it out, go to my page on Instagram at LonnieIIV and check it out. And I have a movie coming out, I guess, in January.
Yeah.
Maybe. So watch that if you like.
What's it called?
It's called... So you remember what I said? Like,
bring it up shirtless, okay? And then tell them that.
Yeah. What is it called?
Yeah, I'm looking it up.
No, how are you going to find it? I didn't put it anywhere.
Just IMDb?
What is it called? What is this movie called?
Find out
I was
later.
there for a month, bro. Senior Prank. It's called Senior Prank.
Yeah,
there you go.
Coming out 2025. I thought it was fun.
Says you're also in 5 Nations?
Yeah, I voice acted for that. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
I just got a paycheck. I sent some voice lines over. Could be terribly racist project. No idea, but I got paid. But thank you guys. No, seriously, thanks for having me.
Man.
Podcasts are hard, so listeners, make sure you guys say thank you. And check out the Patreon if you're not, because it's great. And there's a secret episode that we did that you can find there. Thanks, Kelly.
Hey.
Thanks, Kelly.
But yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for reminding me. Thank you to all our patron members.
True.
Especially our newest member, Jackie.
Thanks, Jackie.
Thanks, Jackie.
Whoa.
And thank you to all our free members. So we appreciate you hanging out. We're not gonna give you shit, but
we see you.
But we see you on there.
Yeah.
Our homie that has card problems. We'll see you when that check clears next.
The 11-year-old using his mom's credit card.
If you're the guy,
I think that might be happening.
Yeah. If you're the 11-year-old, if you're the guy whose card keeps fucking up, I totally get you. I've been in that boat. I'm in it most of the time right now.
I have a lot of reoccurring fees that like I just lose track of, and it's not good.
If you're that guy, hit me up. I'll send you some free merch. I appreciate you re-upping with us. So
yeah,
I don't want to say your name because obviously that would be like a dickhead thing. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you'll join us again soon. And Lonnie, you're welcome back anytime, bud.
Thanks. I'll just come like sit in the background. I won't say anything next time. I'll be like, back. I'll be the lampshade or something.
I don't like the vibe of that.
Neither do I. Yeah. Good job. That was a test.
Why did everyone
test.
do that?
That was a test, and you guys passed. Except for Ray. He didn't say no.
What? I mean. I didn't. I was just.
Any last things you boys want to plug, or you just want to get on to the next episode?
Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, friends. Oh, I had 2 pages this time. To be heavier, I'll probably hit it. I always try to hit the camera.
Do it.
Can I throw one?
Just don't tell Ben.
Yeah,
he never
yeah,
watches to the
sure.
end. Oh, you want to throw one? Yeah. Thank you
Which
guys
camera
so
are we
much for
hitting? Ben's
watching.
expensive one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe. That's the furthest away. You got to do it. Try to get the top though. It's an expensive lens.
It is a piece of paper, it should be fine. It should
I'm
be
a
fine.
professional athlete.
Anyway, we love you guys.
Whoa,
Jesus, dude.
that was close. You almost knocked the fucking hard drive out.
Christ. All right, we'll see you next time.
You did too. Deuces.
Oh man, that was great.
A man getting bit by an alligator scream. Swallow this.